This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the clock.
Your war room for insider news and draft analysis.
The Dallas Cowboys select Ezekiel Elliott.
And now, your hosts, Dane Brugler, David Hellman, and Brian Broaddus.
Well, it's the draft show here from Mobile, Alabama. We have the early version of the draft show going on today. We usually go at 6 p.m., but because of the weather here in Mobile, the rains have forced us to go inside. There we go.
Bright lights.
Bright lights, big city. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey.
That's David Hellman. I'm Brian Broaddus. Dane Brugler. I'll tell you, we're having all kinds of fun already here, though. As we were saying, though, first time, guys, since 1992, I've been coming to the practices here in Mobile, Alabama, and I've not been able to see a practice because of weather.
Why are you lying to our listeners, Brian? We have practice on the TV.
We do have
here.
We do have practice on TV.
Thank you, ESPN.
ESPN is yes, they're showing. If you're kind of following along, yes, you can watch us, but you could also watch on ESPNU. This was something that, again, the weather here in Mobile, Alabama, the rains, 100% chance, pouring down rain on us right now. Dane Brugler had to do some work down the street, hustled over here real quick to be a part of this one. Appreciate you, brother.
It's wet out. It's there's a little bit of a downpour going on. Certainly understand why they canceled. I mean, it's been raining all day.
Yeah.
For safety reasons, I mean, a lot of people are going to blame, it's ESPN, NFL Network's fault.
Right.
You know, listen, it's been raining all day. The field's in no condition to be playing. Hopefully tomorrow, it's supposed to be dry, but hopefully the field will be in good condition tomorrow.
You have to worry about these players, Dave, come here with the opportunity to showcase for.
This is way different than if it was a Thursday or a Wednesday getting ready for a football game.
Right.
Like these guys, I mean, they are technically, but it's these guys are here basically out of the goodness of their heart to try to improve their draft stock. The last thing the Senior Bowl wants to do is have somebody tear something in a practice that is not for a competitive game. So, it completely makes sense. I mean, we talked last night about how much better attendance has been the last couple of years. How's it going to affect attendance if one of your star attendees tears his Achilles on a wet field? No, thank you.
And we've been talking about how yesterday – we talked about it, how this year we've had fewer dropouts, higher level of talent. All it takes is for Montez Sweat to slide right into a bleachers and break his leg.
Right.
And
then
next year, talk about some of the first-round, second-round players saying, I don't know if that Senior Bowl is really for me. I think I'll take my chances, go to the Combine, that kind of thing.
Well, if you see our eyes kind of darting at you and then over. We've got it on right here to our right.
Shouts out to ESPN because they told us last night.
Yeah, we got emails.
Clearly the indoor, as you would expect, is a lot smaller than Ladd Peebles Stadium.
Right.
So they didn't think they were going to be
South
able
Alabama today, home of Gerald
the Jaguars.
But Gerald Everett, who's playing in the Super Bowl.
I thought you were testing my mascot knowledge.
No, I was testing the Jaguars.
For it.
Yeah, absolutely. Testing. They play their home games at Ladd Peebles, but they have a brand new, beautiful indoor facility. So.
Nobody thought they'd be able to televise from the indoor, so this is great.
Yeah, and the North practice is going on right now, so we are kind of again keeping an eye on that. But we're going to have this show for you today,
and it just started, so they're just stretching, getting things going. So we got time.
As things kind of materialize. We'll kind of shoot a glance over there and kind of talk about some things. You know, guys, yesterday, Dane, you talked about defensive tackles.
Yeah.
You know, and you talked about when you look at the kids that are here at the Senior Bowl and the guys that you felt like that stood out yesterday. You were talking about Wren being one of them from Arizona State, the Texas A&M kid.
Dalen Mack.
Right. Talk a little bit more about, though, Texas A&M has
got another one.
Yeah, who's the other one there?
Kingsley Kiki.
Yeah, Kiki.
For the longest time, like up until this summer, I thought it was Kiki Kingsley.
Right.
And it was like kind of blew my mind when I realized it was the other way around. Coming into the year, he had the better career and higher trajectory than Dalen Mack. Dalen Mack.
Right.
Dalen Mack was a big recruit, high expectations. First 3 years, he didn't really live up to it. Talking in September, October, Kiki's the better prospect. But Dalen Mack, as the season went on, senior season went on, it really kind of proved that he was kind of. I mean, someone will look at it and say 1 year wonder, but he's really hitting his stride, and as long as the effort's there, you feel good about him projecting the next level. And he showed it here in yesterday's practice how he's got that squatty lower body. And you know who I compared him to was. It was 2-3 years ago. Remember Javon Hargrave, South Carolina State? Absolutely,
and you got him in the Senior Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was similar.
Great story, by the way.
Javon Hargrave with the Shrine Game.
I
saw him live at the Shrine Game at practices. Loved him. And then at the Senior Bowl, I think it was Wednesday practice. Phil Savage.
I was sitting right next to you when you did it.
Get injured and say, "Hey guys, I'm taking suggestions. Is there a defensive tackle out there that should be here, deserves to be here? We can fly. Proximity wise, we can fly him in." I told him, okay, Javon Hargrave. I just saw him last week. Yeah. I think he's working out in Florida. Just a puddle jump from here. Yeah. Bring him over.
Right.
That's what they did. Javon Hargrave had a strong Thursday practice, strong rest of the process, and the Steelers took him in the 3rd round. But that's how I think Dalen Mack, who, again, a Shrine guy, came here, and he's having a great week. I think he could – he's got that similar stout body. He's got that big bubble, and I think they play similar. So I think he's also working himself into being a possible top 100 pick.
But Kiki, though, what do you kind of see with him as far as, and we have some folks out there. Matter of fact, one of the Twitter questions I had today were some folks that were interested about these defensive tackles, especially from Texas A&M.
With Kiki, I think he's when his first step doesn't work, or that first move, he's kind of done. You know, he doesn't have the secondary measures, the counter measures. That's what I want to see from him this week, hopefully, is better hand use, better understanding of, okay, when this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. Better job setting up blockers. So I want to see that from him. Can't say I saw it in yesterday's practice, but something to look forward to, tomorrow and as we go forward.
David Hellman, the Dallas Cowboys, with what went on at the end of the season, defensive tackle, an area you're going to look at?
I think it's no, I don't even want to call it a sneaky big need. I think it's just a need. Yeah. David Irving probably not coming back to this team.
Sure.
Even if he does, he's played.
I know. Stop with the David Irving.
I mean, yes, thank you, Dane.
Yeah.
Malik Collins is heading into a contract year. Antoine Woods, great story. Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't add to the position, because
also coming off the injury
and coming, had surgery right after the season was over. That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, smartly, anybody that listens to this show is aware not to fall in love with a first-round defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But we don't have to worry about that this year.
No,
true.
No, so, you never know. Might jump back in this.
Do you think second round is too early for this team to
see?
Draft
That's why I want to look. I want to look at.
Probably.
I want to look second round. Considering they found a guy on the street, like you said.
Malik Collins was picked 67, so that's 9 spots or 11 spots after.
Right.
9 spots after 58. So I think it's plausible.
If you're watching along with us and then happen to have one eye on ESPNU. They are showing Will Grier, the quarterback from West Virginia. I want to get into some of these quarterbacks, even though it's not a Dallas Cowboys need per se. I want to talk about some of these guys, though, because we have fans from other teams that might be looking for quarterbacks, might be wondering how does Will Grier measure to some of the other guys we've kind of seen or are starting to see here in this draft process.
Even if you're a Cowboys fan, what shapes a draft class? Quarterbacks.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't think you can have a full understanding of the way this all shapes up without having a good idea of where these quarterbacks are going.
Flipping it back to the defensive side of the ball, the defensive tackle spot, Dane, where Dexter Lawrence from Clemson.
That's a good name.
Why am I struggling with Dexter Lawrence? And everybody tells me Dexter Lawrence is a hell of a football player.
I mean, I think he is, but value-wise, impact-wise, where do you draft him? Because he's not a great pass rusher. I don't care what you show me, what stats you show me. It doesn't show on film.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm having with him, David.
It just impact. I mean, I don't know if I'm drafting a nose tackle, a one technique in the top. Not to sound like Stephen Jones.
Right. Is this the Cowboys front office talking
right.
to
Well,
us right now?
I thought this way last year with Vita Vea. I wasn't high on him.
No, you were not high on Vita Vea. That's right.
Again, if I'm drafting a defensive tackle in the top 20, 25, I need a pass rusher. I need someone that's going to impact the pocket. I mean, it's great that you're a run stuffer. It's great you can occupy double teams and help others get to the quarterback. But if I'm going to draft you, because I can find those guys, I feel confident I can find those guys later. If I'm drafting you with a premium draft pick, you better give me just a little bit more than being a run stuffer. And With Dexter Lawrence, that's a big question. Can he give you more? I'm not sold that he can. That's why on my top 50 list, he came in at like 40-something, early 40s, like 42, something like that. But I don't know. It's the planet theory with him. There's only so many people on this planet that look like him that could move like him.
Yes,
that's why Vita Vea went as high as he did.
Right.
That's why this kid's probably going to go in the top 20, 25 picks. But I think we both agree that, I don't know, there's just something missing there.
There is something missing there.
This is a familiar – I mean, God, we've had this conversation more times than I can talk. But to go back to that point, 58, is that too rich for – I mean –
It might be exactly – you might be staring at him at 58.
You think he falls that far?
I don't think he falls that far.
Well, the question you have is, though, are teams going to dock him – because of the up and down tape?
No, because I think they're going to believe in the traits. I think you look at Vita Vea last year, Deron Payne last year. Both those guys went 12 and 13, something like that.
Sure.
I think Dexter Lawrence is still going to go in the first round. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. I don't see the value. I have my questions, but I still think he's going to go high. I mean, look at the playoff games Clemson played. Did you see the big drop-off on their defensive line?
No, you mentioned that.
No.
You didn't see that. And so, I don't know. I still think he's going to go high, though.
I will say, even at 58, I think Stephen Jones's kind of mantra is going to hold true. I can't imagine that they are going to draft a D-tackle who doesn't have pass rush ability.
No, I think you're absolutely right about that.
I mean, even Malik Collins was a third-round pick. He can rush the pass.
Okay, what about a guy like Jerry Tillery, then, from Notre Dame?
Wish he was here.
Yeah, me too.
I was told he was looking for some reasons not to be here. You know, he didn't really want to be here, which is kind of a red flag for me.
All right, does Jerry Tillery like to play football then?
Add it to the red flag list with him.
Okay. Do you want to expand on that?
I know there's a lot of scouts that have some questions because he's just
because Notre Dame has put some guys in this league here pretty regularly last few years.
Notre Dame will always put guys in the league, no question.
Especially them offensive linemen.
I tell you, when you watch Jerry Tillery's 10 best plays from this year, you're gonna fall in love. I mean, you're gonna just buy in with what he offers, that length, that athleticism. There's plenty to like about Jerry Tillery. I don't know. I worry about, is he going to bring me what that juice day in, day out? I don't know. I have some questions there. Scouts have questions. I mean, there's some character questions from Jerry Tillery that could push him out of the first round, maybe further than people think.
There's a slider, Dave.
Give him. Hey, well.
Whoa. We almost got the wave.
I like sliders, but I'm a big fan of guys that like to be here, and that troubles me if somebody's not. Again, you want guys that want to compete, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's me talking, but that's also a big line under Jason Garrett. Is they love guys that love football.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
Sorry Chris Richard. How is that he going to affect, if at all, their defensive strategy with the draft?
Yeah.
In terms of defensive tackles, in terms of what corners they look at.
Absolutely.
Safeties.
Absolutely.
How do you think that affects 58, if at all?
Well, I think it affects it quite a bit.
Well, also, I mean, and he's more established now, and we got to see how it plays out. But in a few weeks, maybe there's a title change or a little bit of a role shift. Yeah. But he was there from January of last year, so
probably not. He did have a big stick for what he did with Byron Jones.
Absolutely, he moved Byron Jones to corner. Yeah, so he was a part of those evaluations. So I think you already kind of have a look at that. Although with what he did this year,
I think it's fair to say
he'll have even more influence.
They might take his opinion a little more.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
His impact or his opinion might make a little more impact in draft meetings when they're stacking the draft board.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something. Pivot to corners that are here.
Yeah.
This is a good group of corners if you're looking for tall, long guys who can run. Starts with Isaiah Johnson from Houston.
Okay.
Who 33 and 3/4-inch arms, which is silly for a corner.
Right.
He came in at 6'2" and I think a quarter. He's going to run in the 4.4s at the combine. Dude can blaze. He's a former receiver. He has the ball skills.
Yep.
He's incredibly raw. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about the traits, that's what we know teams look for, especially this team, size, length, speed, he has it in spades. And I think that he's a guy that needs to be on the radar. maybe even at 58. I think he's more of a third-rounder. But for teams that really value that.
If you're picking at the back end of the draft, you almost have to think around early on these guys. We've said that a bunch here on the draft show.
I'm just thinking to myself, it's funny because Chris Richard is probably a huge part of the reason why in 2019 we're obsessed with tall cornerbacks with long arms.
Absolutely.
He works for the Cowboys now, so that's a great point.
Dane's absolutely right about Isaiah Johnson. If I go back and look at my notes on him, this guy can jam, he can redirect, he can cover some ground when he runs too. Big, tall, long guy. Speed's not a question. But I thought he needed to be a bit more aware of the football. Yep. I thought there were some times where, when you start talking about him, where the ball is. We've seen that with some of the Cowboy, with Awuzie, with Byron Jones and those guys. And I'm sure it happens around the league too. There's a lot of teams out there that have cornerbacks that don't play with a lot of awareness, though, for where the ball is.
Dane really messed me up when we did our first show because I love to think about draft needs. I daydream about it like when I'm putting my shoes on in the morning.
Yeah.
And cornerback hadn't even dawned on me, really, because D tackles out there.
Well, what you got to do with situation Byron Jones?
Break it down in even further detail. The only cornerback on this team with a secure future right now is Cheeto.
Yeah.
You got Byron coming into a contract year, Anthony Brown coming into a contract year. I think he has played well for what they've let him do.
Byron doesn't have a contract.
Well, he does right now. He's playing on his fifth-year option.
So he's in 2020. He's up. Yeah.
But, Anthony Brown and Byron are both up after this upcoming season.
Yeah.
Jordan Lewis, I thought he played well in the spots they gave him, but he's clearly not favored here, probably because of Chris Richard, just from a size standpoint. And so all of a sudden, as good as the situation looks heading into 2019, it's pretty dicey after that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it is something we're going to have to talk about.
As we just kind of take a peek at what's going on there at the Jaguars at the South Alabama indoor practice facility. If you're watching us and then also watching the drills, they're kind of focusing on the defensive line. We talked about that a little earlier as we opened the show. They're running through the bags. It's something. This is all pre-practice stuff that we do. When you watch practice when we're at training camp, things like that, they run through all these drills, get ready for the actual big part of practice, where later you'll see the team period. We'll see some one-on-one stuff. We'll see some 9-on-7, some 7-on-7. Full pads today too, by the way, guys. So that's a good sign, and we'll have some full pads on tomorrow as well. Any other cornerbacks though, Dane? That is Johnson? Is Isaiah Johnson the best one that we can look forward to on the weekend as we watch these the Senior Bowl game unfold?
I think that Rock Ya-Sin from Temple is the best corner here.
Okay.
I think he's a top 50 guy. I don't think he'll be in the
We talked about him a little bit last night.
Yeah, he's a really good player. After him, I think that's when there's some debate. Chris Boyd from Texas.
Yeah.
I think he's in that mix. Lonnie Johnson from Kentucky.
Right.
There's some things missing in his game, but another guy, big, long, he can play. So he's going to be in that mix. The Penn State kid.
Yeah.
I think there's we're talking about big, physical, long corners, all of them, and so they're kind of going to be in the same mix in that. Right around 58, and it's just right where is that too early for them? Or
right.
Is it, if you wait to the third round, can you still get a guy that you like? That would be the debate at 58 because it's an interesting spot picking that late in this draft.
It is, and we go back. You talk about Lonnie Johnson from Kentucky, and I was looking just through my notes. A guy for a tall guy, I thought he turned pretty well. Quick with his reactions. He felt like he can close on the ball pretty well, but. The thing I didn't see deep speed, Dane. That was what I kind of worried about. I saw some separation there. I mean, he really stay en route with, and then all of a sudden at the end there was a separation there. So we'll see if that carries over to the game this weekend as we get ready for the 70th Senior Bowl game here in Mobile, Alabama. Okay, we're going to take our first break of the day. When we come back, we're going to hit your Twitter questions here. I want to make sure that we get your questions answered. Again, we're keeping an eye on the practice that's going on ESPN right now, but we're going to focus in on some of your questions, and we will do that when we come back.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in one lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine being shipwrecked on a desert island, alone. Glass-like curls of surf pound the shore with Dr. Pepper-colored waves. Surrounded by desire, but you can't drink it because it's the ocean. Fish live in there. The only thing you want is Dr. Pepper, and you can't have it.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the clock.
We're back here on the Draft Show from Mobile, Alabama. We are doing our show again a little bit earlier today because of the weather conditions here in Mobile. They had to go to the University of South Alabama for practice. The North team has already practiced. I'm going to go to Dane Brugler here in just a minute. He's going to tell us some highlights or things that were noted. We had pool reporters at the practice, so they were able to kind of type things up for us and give us a little bit of idea. We do have our eye on the television screen here where the South team is practicing right now. If there's anything developing there, again, they're going through their drills with their position coaches and stuff, and so kind of wish we were there watching these drills because it kind of gives you an idea about foot quickness and ability to turn and all that. So
we'll watch the tape later.
Absolutely, we'll figure it all out. We'll figure it out.
We'll get it
okay. Real quick, Dave, before I get to the Twitter on the 20, I want to go with Dane. Just give us a little bit of what happened, some things that happened at the early in the at the North practice
this morning. So a few just little tidbits. We'll talk more in depth later when we get more details. But Donald Parham, the Stetson tight end
we talked about him last night, 6'8".
He was injured. Not sure how serious or not, but he was hurt. He had to leave. Daniel Jones threw a pair of picks in team drills.
That's the quarterback from Duke, right?
And then a wide receiver who, I can't remember if we mentioned him yesterday, but if we didn't, we should have because he had a really good first practice. Penny Hart.
Bobby Belt's somewhere right now.
Yeah, Bobby Belt is celebrating.
He is smiling right now that I didn't see his 5'8" wide receiver out there running around.
I was going to say the diminutive wide receiver out of Georgia State who we talked about Andy Isabella, and in a similar vein, talk about foot quickness and the ability to separate. Penny Hart was doing that all day yesterday, and I think he showed he's able to do that here today's practice. So that quickness, that opens some eyes, and I think that's Penny Hart's definitely a name you're going to be hearing more and more.
Penny Hart, yeah. Bobby Belt came up with that. Bobby, we love you. Thank you for always coming up with great names. Okay, David Hellman. Give me a little of that Twitter on the 20.
Twitter on the 20?
Yeah.
I want to start off. I got some questions too, but this is like a conglomeration question because from yesterday until now, like 95 people have asked me about this guy, which Makes sense because we're based in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all could shed some light on Charles Omenihu for me, perhaps. Omenihu. Damn it. Whatever.
You took a page out of my book.
I took a page out of the broadest book.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's January. I'll get it.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, we have to start with the length. Let me make sure I get it exactly right.
Yeah.
36.5-inch arms.
Yeah.
That's silly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you're. I mean, we when we go to the combine, he might be the only one that hits 36. You know,
Yeah.
like 36 is a great number. 36.5 is awesome.
And we need to explain how they measure, real
Right.
quick, because
we talked about hand.
Yeah, your mom measured her hand yesterday, right?
Yeah, my mom happened to listen to the draft show yesterday, and she heard about our hand discussion.
How to measure, right?
So she was
I
curious.
want to give her a chance to measure arms now.
She was curious how her hand. So
Yeah.
she put a ruler down. She spread out her hand. She,
Did they stretch her? They stretch her?
She just did it on her own. She's 7 3/4.
Yeah.
The same size hands as Hunter Renfrow.
Renfrow.
So Hunter, from here on now, he is now Hunter Mom Hands Renfrow.
Exactly.
That is his name.
Yeah.
And then, if we're talking about length.
Yeah.
Hand straight out.
Straight out, and from the joint,
right
on the top in the joint, all the way out to your index finger.
Right.
So when you're measuring, when you talk about arm length, it's not like, okay, measure that. They take it all the way out, and then they measure in the joint, and then all the way to the end of your finger. Right.
And a lot of times, what they'll do is they'll take like a tape measure, tape it on the wall,
right.
And so you just stand flat back against the wall and just put your arm out like that, and see how it goes.
Yeah, and they do it too. They measure when they do the vertical, they measure.
Right.
They measure that way with the arm going up, so they know how much the reach is. So anyway, good, but a good player though, right?
Omenihu, he is a really good player. He's a guy who, Texas, they played that base kind of 3-4 defense, and so he played head up over the tackle a lot. Didn't really get a chance to show off that edge speed on a consistent basis, but he's a good athlete, and with that type of length, you've got something to work with. And so Omenihu, he played during practice. You saw him line up a lot of times inside. And so I'm eager to see how they use him throughout the week. If he gets more reps outside, do the teams consider more of a 5 technique? Where is his fit? That's a big question.
Yeah. It's funny that I was yesterday. You talk about guys that fits and what they do. Did you notice Zach Allen at all yesterday from Boston College?
You wrote about Zach Allen.
Yeah, I noticed it, not in a good way though.
Really?
To be honest.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I mean, I probably could have missed a couple good reps for him.
I felt like that. When you watch him play, I was not a big Zach Allen fan.
No.
And the problem I had with Zach Allen is because I thought he struggled to get off the blocks.
Right.
But I thought yesterday was a better day for him in that. Because I did. There was some times in the one-on-one stuff where I was like, okay, maybe I need to, but he just doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves, and there are people talking about him as like first-round grades.
Well, I think he could be a first-round guy, but he's not. That pass rush is not his thing. He's a better.
He
run
was
defender.
better when they put him inside playing tackle a little bit.
Yeah, and he did both at Boston College.
Right,
He lined up inside, outside. He has he's not that. Speed demon off the edge. It's not his game.
He does not that.
No. I don't want to hear pass rush is not his thing about a first round guy. He just doesn't.
He's
really
a left end, though. Is really what he is, right?
Yeah, he's a base end who is a good football player. He's going to play the run well.
Yeah.
He can do a lot of things. He'll give you a pass rush. It's just not his specialty.
He showed a better pass rush yesterday than what I've seen on tape.
Yeah, we're
talking
stories.
about.
I know.
Yeah, we're talking about guys that were ends and tackles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was a guy. I mean, I'm like, man, he looked just awful on tape. And then you see him live, maybe just a little bit better.
All right, as long as we're doing this, I'll just knock out a question from Buddy. Buddy wants to know about DeMarcus Christmas, Florida State.
Florida State, I don't know. His tape, I don't know. It's hard to get a good read off his tape. I liked his junior stuff.
Yeah.
And then coming into this year, I kind of had high expectations.
Coaching change there, problems, you think?
Well, that
was
mild, created,
putting it mildly.
Understatement.
That created a lot of issues at Florida State.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't think he didn't play a high number of snaps.
Yeah.
But he's a big guy and he can move. I thought he actually had a good first day of practice.
Yeah.
He had some reps better yesterday than he had all season. And so he's going to be one that's little tougher
Sound like
to
Zach
figure
Allen.
out. Yeah. But with Christmas, when you watch his tape, he's not going to blow you away.
No.
But there's something there. I mean, his junior stuff was good. He's playing well here. He's going to be a tough one to figure out.
Yep.
Okay, here's one, which I'm gonna revise Matt's question because he says, who is this year's Van Der Esch? Which, okay, yeah, sure, let's just try to figure out who's going to the Pro Bowl right now. But
it's nice to see. By the way, if you're watching at DallasCowboys.com, Nick Eatman, Dana Burns, our whole crew there. Yeah, so check that out for sure.
But, all right, so let's revise that. And we talked so much last year about ascending players. Who are some ascending players? Preferably guys that are here, but if somebody really jumps out to you just overall, let's talk about him.
I need to coin those words.
You do. That is a Bruglerism.
For me, it's not even close. And
okay,
who you got?
Jumping on he's going to running backs.
Don't take my guy.
No, I'm going to take your guy. Get ready for this.
I know you're going to take my guy.
I'm going to take your guy. Get ready.
Does he play for Alabama?
Absolutely, plays for Alabama.
That's my ascending player.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's where, like I said, I was just pulling my notes on Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs,
University
Wildcat quarterback extraordinaire.
No, just badass overall. How about that? You just go ahead and just say that about the young man. I mean, Now, the measurables, you're looking at a guy that's 5'8", 213 pounds, legitimate. The speed says 4.49. I think he's faster than that.
He's only 5'8"? Is that what
5'9"?
5'9"?
5'9". He wears number 8.
He looks like a way bigger, badder dude than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's built. I mean,
he is built. And that's the thing about him is that. Did I take your guy, by the way? I did take your guy.
Yeah, I got to find a new ascending player.
Yeah, this guy's got elusive balance. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, he's got some complete back traits to him as well, though, because he'll stand in there and pass protect if you let him.
Oh yeah.
But the best thing he does, this guy breaks defenders down in space. I mean, he's when it's all said and done, people are going to talk about him a lot. I have a feeling.
Oh, he's a first round. If there's a running back in this draft who will go first round, it'll be this kid.
Yeah.
I gave crazy. He wasn't even the regular starter.
Well, he was the third stringer to start the year. He moved to the second string, and
classic Alabama is the third stringer's a bigger badass than the starter. So go ahead.
And Damian Harris is, awesome running back. I think he's a top 100 guy, but he's not Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
We'll see how Jacobs. I think he's going to do well at the combine, and I think he's going to have a guy that we talk about as a possible first round pick leading up to the draft. So he definitely qualifies as an ascending player. I'll give you a guy.
I was hoping you would.
Who was going to be here, but he's hurt. Jelani Tavai from Hawaii.
Oh, the linebacker.
Yes, I think he's an ascending player who, again, don't sleep on this kid.
Did you have him in the second round right now?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There are people out here who
say his name one more time.
Jelani Tavai.
Yeah, Tavie.
I-E. Or I.
Yeah.
A-I.
I always mess it up.
Don't go to Brian for spelling.
Tavai.
Listen, there are people that cover the draft that don't even know about this kid yet. Like, he is a big-time player.
Oh, they're not wrong.
He's not here because he has a shoulder that he's rehabbing. But we'll see if he's okay. I don't think he's going to be okay for the combine, but we'll see if he's okay for a personal workout pro day type thing.
6'3", 235 right now.
Who can move? I mean, we talk about Van Der Esch. He's not Van Der Esch because he's not that type of athlete, and there are some questions there. But with Tavai, he can move, he can cover, he plays with power. We watched Josh Oliver tape, the tight end who was here from San Jose State.
Sure did.
We watched Jelani Tavai carry him up the seam without not letting him separate. I mean, really impressive stuff. He is a 3-down linebacker who I think is a top 60 pick, and people are going to be surprised when he goes so early, but people listening to this won't be.
Let me tell you where he's better in college than Van Der Esch. I didn't have
take on.
Well, you just dogged Leighton for months about how he wasn't physical enough. I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I wasn't the only one.
I know.
I wasn't the only one.
I just wanted to take that dig. It's fine.
No. I'm just saying this guy right here, though. I mean, okay, he's got to be careful when he gets too tall here, though. That's 6'3". He'll play a little upright on you. But I'll tell you what, though, this is a physical SOB. I mean, this guy, when you talk about run to the football, play with his hands, physical take on. He can redirect. Dane's right. He can cover, too. That's the thing. I mean, you watch him play. And, you talk about guys that don't come off the field. This cat doesn't come off the field. So, yeah, keep an eye. Tavai, number 31 from Hawaii.
Jelani Tavai.
Can I throw one more? One more name?
Hey, yes, because this is why people listen to this show in the first place.
Let me tell you, a guy, and maybe Dane will disagree with me, but I think this guy is going to rise up the charts when it's all said and done. And maybe I'm wrong about where he is right now.
Just read the name.
We'll see.
I just want to make sure I'm qualifying the name.
I was considering another player. We'll see if this is who it is.
Riley Ridley.
Yep. That's who it is.
Are we really calling him a ascending player? Like, everybody knows Riley Ridley.
But in the grand scheme of where everybody is, where they're ranking these receivers,
okay, you think he's getting slept on?
Oh, I think everybody's sleeping on this guy a little bit.
I think people know him because his last name's Ridley. They
know and he played at a name program. He played at Georgia.
You know how many career yards he had at Georgia? Like 1,000.
Because he really only came on in his final year there, which I guess goes to your point that
you watched
he's
the national championship game 2 years ago
against Alabama.
Yeah. Watch that, but you can watch this game. You can watch LSU, Vandy, Tennessee, Missouri, and he just makes plays.
He made my top 50 list. He's not a secret. Why
are you looking at me like that?
Well, I'm just saying, when you look at all the other wide receivers in this thing, I don't think people.
You're right. I should. The conversation is ascending and not under the radar.
Right.
So he's not under the radar.
Right.
He is ascending.
All right.
Okay.
Let me ask you this:
right.
when it's all said and done, could he be one of the top 3 wide receivers in this draft?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because this draft, and we've talked about wide receivers.
I don't have a first-round one right now, by the way.
I think the highest guy on my list.
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
Highest guy on my list was 23 overall or something.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Harmon or Metcalf.
But I have Metcalf, Harmon, Marquise Brown. But it's going to be. I'm telling you,
Metcalf went to Ole Miss. Yeah. Marquise Brown is Oklahoma.
Oh,
who's the other guy?
We're going to get fooled.
Kelvin Harmon.
We're going to get
Kelvin Harmon. Wait, okay,
this.
I don't know that one yet.
NC State.
We're going to get fooled on this whole thing.
Just trying to keep people up to speed.
Here's the thing with these wide receivers is.
By the way, Deebo Samuel just caught a ball for the talking about wide receiver, South Carolina.
We're going to talk about him in a minute.
Yeah.
So
had a nice day yesterday, by the way, too.
He did. He's kind of jostling with Andy Isabella to be the top receiver here.
Yep.
Lost my train of thought. Wide receivers at the top.
That's why we brought him up.
I talked to a lot of people down here, and when wide receivers come up, when we talk about Marquise Brown, some have said, he's going top 15.
Right.
He's going high.
Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he like a DD clone? Didn't he weigh like 150 pounds soaking wet?
175.
Oh.
But
top 15.
John Ross went 9.
Ooh,
how'd that work out?
Not very well.
People don't learn from mistakes.
Oh, my God.
They'll
people will look at that and say, it's the Bengals.
Oh, they'll watch this tape. Yeah. Oh, don't bust my team, the Bengals. Bengal fans, that's at DP Brugler, by the way.
I said what teams will say. That's what they'll say.
Stay on target.
All right, back to what I was saying. Some look at Deshaun Jackson. He's going top 15. Others look at him and say the size, 175, the durability. Mm-hmm. He's a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. A lot of different opinions. DK Metcalf, 6'4", 230 pounds, 4.4 speed, a freak show. He's going to go top 15, while others say, a couple big injuries. He's still raw. Second round. So there's so many different opinions on these wide receivers. No consensus, and it's anyone's guess when the first one's going to come off the board.
Yeah. Keep an eye on Dylan Mitchell, by the way, from Oregon.
He's a Nelson Aguilar clone.
Oh,
all
right. Which is the good and the bad.
The good and the bad. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, real quick before we do this next, I'll combine these into two because they're the same thing.
You did a good job on that, like new players or something.
Tyler wants a round projection-ish on Deebo, this South Carolina receiver who's here in Mobile, and then Christian wants the same thing for Anthony Johnson, the guy out of Buffalo who's here this week. So just kind of where you think those two stack up in the
you got a ballpark on
the old board.
Coming into the year, I thought Deebo.
I have not seen him yet, I don't believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on his junior stuff, because he missed most of last year with a broken leg or ankle. And so he missed almost all of last year. But based on his tape from previously when I watched over the summer, I gave him a late first-round grade. I loved him. Mm-hmm. I thought he could be a big-time player. Then this year, you could tell he spent a lot of this year knocking the rust off, trying to regain his old form that he showed as an underclassman. And we finally started to see it down the stretch. We're seeing it some here. I'm a big fan of what Deebo Samuel could be. I think he's one of the best yards after catch receivers in this draft. He's a playmaker in that regard. What's his long speed? Is he a guy that's going to be easily separate downfield? He did yesterday a couple times against Rock Ya-Sin.
Sure did.
I thought he had a pretty good opening practice. So Debo, right now, I put him in, say, the 40 to 75 range. And I know that's kind of a big range, but, when we talk about these receivers, there's differing opinions on them. And, what's Debo's role? Is he a slot guy? Is he an outside guy? Teams are kind of split on what his role is, what his best fit is. And so I think there's a wide variance of where he could go. And if you went 41st, wouldn't surprise me. He goes 72nd, wouldn't surprise me. So I think he's in that range. And then Anthony Johnson, I tell you, I hate to just boil it down to a 40-yard dash, but 40-yard dash is going to be important for Anthony Johnson. I think he might be the most polished receiver here, just with his understanding of timing and routes and how to work back to the quarterback and, really help out his quarterback. But how fast is he? Is he going to be able to separate? There's
4.53 guy, maybe. Maybe low.
Yeah,
maybe worse.
And so there's a lot to like about Anthony Johnson. Jadeveon Clowney's cousin, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's got
Jadeveon Clowney's cousin, and he's not the guy that went to South Carolina.
Yeah. And he grew up in South Carolina. Didn't have the grades, went to JUCO, went to another JUCO, was supposed to go to Oklahoma State, and then that didn't work out and because of grades, and then went to Buffalo. So he's had a little winding career, but the last 2 years he's been outstanding. The best MAC receiver, one of the best receivers in college football. So he's had a good week here so far, and eager to see how he tests because that could have an influence about how high he's graded and where he ends up going. But he's a day 2 player. It's just a matter of where on day 2.
Yeah, the thing with Anthony Johnson, though, to me is that I saw a guy that did a really good job of tracking the ball.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think he's got some he's physical with the ball in his hands. He could be a little nifty if he has to. But he doesn't give up on routes. That's where I was. I was. Sometimes guys get frustrated when they run routes, and he didn't look like he just keeps working. And he likes to get him on the move and get him the ball. That's kind of what they were doing. He's got a quarterback too. That kid can.
Tyree Jackson.
Jackson can chunk it. He can chunk it. And you can see it.
Chunk it or chuck it.
Chuck it, chunk it, whatever you want to do.
Whatever
it takes.
Your fancy.
Yeah, whatever it takes. He could do it.
Was my Josh Allen, Cardell Jones
the blender?
Is that a negative? Is that a positive?
Nah,
it's both. It's both.
It's fair. It's true evaluation is what it is.
My love affair with Cardell has not panned out, although he is still in the league.
Yeah.
So I think we have a bet about whether or not he.
We do. I definitely made a bet with Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
He owes me.
Jeff Kavanaugh, 105.
He owes me like $100 if Cardell ever makes a Pro Bowl. So he's looking safe right now.
And if he doesn't,
I paid him $5 in advance, and so it was like 20-1 odds.
Yeah,
so I don't think I'm getting that money back.
Yeah, it wasn't a good bet.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Thank you guys out there for the Twitter on the 20. When we come back, you know what? We like to say we try to focus in on everything about all positions. I want to get into some of these quarterbacks, and I just want to do it from the standpoint of the Senior Bowl quarterbacks because, again, this game will be this Saturday. But I want you, if you're a fan of another team and you're a quarterback-needy team, I want to get into a couple of these guys and see what Dane Brugler has to say about them. So we'll do that next.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
It's time for Tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
The OtterBox that builds those crazy protective phone cases?
Yup, and now they're changing the side dish game with the OtterBox Trooper Soft Cooler. Lightweight, mobile, and leak-proof, Trooper is perfect for blitzing a crowded parking lot with a Frito pie.
Amazing. Hey, you think I could fit my 7-layer salmon salad into the Trooper cooler?
Yup, but please don't.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Learn more about the Trooper soft coolers at otterbox.com.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in one lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the clock.
We are back here at the Draft Show from Mobile, Alabama. Again, we are on a little earlier today because of the inclement weather here in Mobile. They're practicing right now. The South team is working at South Alabama. Their brand new indoor facility, by the way. It looks beautiful.
Speaking of the weather,
the weather
just interrupted our TV
keeps
feed.
knocking our thing out. If you're interested, if you're watching us and then you're also watching the feed of ESPN, they are showing practice. So if you kind of want to take a peek, we'll be back at it. We're going to have an early show again tomorrow. Dane's got a travel day. Dave and Ken have got to travel, and then so we're going to have an early show before the practices again tomorrow and kind of set the table for what we expect to see as we get ready for practice. I teased about, and by the way, too, thanks to everybody that's joining us on Periscope as well. We really, really do appreciate you guys. Love to go back through, see the interaction that you guys have. Some great questions, some great comments. Keep that up. That really helps us. If you want to, please follow the Draft Show on Twitter. That's another way that Kent always puts out information, what we got doing. And then it kind of keeps, we're going to keep, again, the one time a week show. It'll be every Thursday until we get to April, and then we'll make adjustments for what we have to do. So, but again, thanks everybody around the world. By the way, we had a question came from
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which the guy he wanted to talk about's not here. Doesn't mean we can't talk.
Okay,
about
well, let's get to that. I mean, we'll get to that at a point. I want to get his question answered though.
Right now, or
yeah,
you
go
want
ahead.
to?
Who we got?
Well,
who we got? I don't want to get on his quarterbacks, but I'm feeling good about everybody around the world.
I just love hearing that people, Danish people, listen to the Draft Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
My Danish peeps.
He wanted to know about Hjalte Froholt. I hope that I said that right.
Froholt.
Arkansas offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Danish, so I get why he wanted to hear
You're
about it.
about to give me a scouting report on this guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Of course he is. I mean, he played at Arkansas. I knew Dane would know him.
Good.
He grew up playing rugby, started to get interested in football, and he came over to the States when he was a sophomore in high school. Played at Warren G. Harding High School. That's where I'm from.
That's where you're from.
And he played there 1 year. He played with James Daniels, LaShawn Daniels.
Oh, wow.
And then there's some kind of rule where you can only play 1 year. If you're an overseas player, foreign exchange student, you can only play 1 year at high school. So he went back to Denmark for his junior year, then went back to the States for his senior year, played in Florida, and went to Arkansas. He had all types of recruiting offers. Goes to Arkansas. He was a 3-year starter at left guard. Really athletic guy. He moves really well. Love the body control. He needs to get better with some technique issues, some power issues. But he was at the NFLPA game. Honestly, I'm surprised he's not here. I thought he was worthy of a Senior Bowl invite. I think he's a mid-round pick and a guy who might be, talking about ascending players, he might be one of them.
Okay.
One more time for me.
Hjalte Froholt.
Hjalte
Froholt.
People in Denmark listening to the Draft Show. I love it. We appreciate y'all.
Looks like we got a little 9-on-7 going on here from the practice at the Senior Bowl. Again, they're inside today. We're not there watching. We will be tomorrow, though. And I wanted to get into a little bit, again, we're trying to be a full-service show here. And the Cowboys don't have a first-round pick. They drafted a quarterback last year, with Mike White, who I really, really liked. I'd like to see Mike White develop a little bit. But talk about the quarterbacks the class in general, Dane. Just the class. You know, we the very first show we talked about the Oklahoma kid and where he might fit.
Kyler Murray
and where he might fit.
Right.
But where do some of these other quarterbacks fit? You know, I mean, is the first team that's going to possibly look at a quarterback at 6 with the Giants? Is that where this thing is going to start? Or
assuming no trades.
Well, history tells us a quarterback's going top 5.
Okay.
You know, we've talked about that. Last 20 years, only 2013, a quarterback wasn't drafted top 5. So good chance we see a trade up into the top 5 so a team can secure the quarterback they want. And Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State is the favorite to be the first quarterback drafted. But after that, okay, who's going to be the next quarterback drafted if Haskins is the first quarterback drafted? Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, both are here.
Senior Bowl guys,
you know, neither were amazing in the first practice. But like I said, I'd like to.
But Jones threw a couple of interceptions this morning. In the practice, huh?
I hate to drill him too much, but we'll get the tape and see how we did.
Right.
And then tomorrow on Thursday's tape from practice, we'll see how we did. But I think Daniel Jones is next, and then Drew Lock, and then Kyler Murray's a wild card in there. But if you're looking for a quarterback outside the first round, that's when Will Greer in the second.
There you go.
Who he's like a rhythm passer. When he finds his rhythm, he's deadly. But if he doesn't find that rhythm, you see decisions that you're just kind of scratching your head. Like, what's he thinking there? He's throwing into double coverage. He's staring down the receiver, not even bothering to look at the safety who easily cuts off the route. It's just there's so many things about you just kind of wonder about his decision making, and that's why we're talking about him as a second rounder, not a first rounder. How about Jarrett Stidham from Auburn?
Yeah.
Who redshirt junior, graduated, so he's able to be here. A Baylor transfer. He was Art Briles' big recruit, and then with everything fell apart in Baylor, he left, went to JUCO. He actually didn't go. Well, he took classes at JUCO, didn't play. Actually played with a high school team, as a scout team quarterback to stay fresh. Goes to Auburn the last 2 years, and I tell you what, watching him last year win the Iron Bowl with Kerryon Johnson as his running back, you get excited about Jarrett Stidham, about what he could be at the next level.
Yeah, what happened to him, though?
It's fun.
He was like the guy that people were really talking about.
People were pegging him as a top 10 pick, probably going back to Baylor. I don't know. I don't know if he maintained the hype at Auburn, but
he's. I think when you look at him in that Auburn offense, that elementary third-grade offense that Auburn runs, I think that's a culprit here because it holds him back. And so that's why the Senior Bowl is so big for a guy like that, to see him unleash that arm, to see him kind of break open from the that Auburn offense that kind of held him back. So Senior Bowl tape will be big for Jarrett Stidham and how he looks throughout the process because he's much better pro than I think what he put on tape this year. It's just a matter of how, where do you take a guy like that?
Better prospect than a guy who came in the Senior Bowl several years, like 3 years ago, Dak Prescott? Better prospect than?
Good question.
The problem with, I think when you look at Stidham, you think, okay, he's got some upside. Like
he was the MVP here of the
game. He was.
Yeah, it sure was.
But with Dak, it was more like, he kind of is who he is. It's just will that his style work?
Right.
Like he's really mobile. He's got a strong arm. It's just, is his accuracy good enough where it's going to translate to pro defenses? And that's why he fell to the 4th round. That's why the Cowboys almost took Connor Cook over him.
Sure.
So you're saying Stidham could be a completely different guy at the next level?
Yeah, I think he could be a much better pro than what we saw at college.
Okay. Which I think what you just said is true for good and for bad. Like, Dak is who he is, and obviously it's worked. It's obviously why plenty of people still aren't satisfied with what he's put on tape.
That's it.
So interesting to
Where
think about.
Stidham, you're drafting him in the 3rd or 4th round. You're buying into that potential upside that he might be good. Once we get our hands on him, we're going to be able to develop him into his full potential. Where at Auburn we saw just a fraction of what he could be.
Yeah.
So we just mentioned, the Haskins, Murray, Locke, Jones, Greer, Stidham.
Yeah.
How many of those 6 are gone by the end of the 2nd round?
I think that Haskins, Jones, Locke, Murray, and Greer for sure are gone by 58.
Okay.
Then we got still a long way to go. Who knows? But I'd say for sure those 5 are off the board. After that, that might be it. I mean, that might be the only 5 that are off the board at that point. I think, if someone absolutely falls in love with like a Tyree Jackson, like maybe that could happen. But I think it's more likely we see Tyree Jackson, Ryan Finley from NC State, who's also
here. There's
here.
Another guy. Yeah, we're talking about Ryan Finley, though. I mean, there's a guy that
honestly
fell kind of off at the end of the year. Fell off the a lot of things going on there. Didn't they have coaching changes and stuff like that in North Carolina State? Or
not at NC State.
They played Texas A&M in that bowl game, and it just didn't
running back ran all over.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like there were some issues there with North. But
I'll tell you what. Yesterday at practice, Ryan Finley might have been the most consistent quarterback. Nothing about him wows you, but he's really consistent. He reminds me of, and look, I'm not saying he's going to win Super Bowl MVP one day, but he's got a lot of Nick Foles when Nick Foles was coming out of Arizona. Just not a great athlete, but a good athlete. Can move around a little bit. He doesn't have a power arm, but he has a good arm. Right. Nothing about him physically blows you away, but he's just really consistent. He understands the play design, where to go with the ball. And I think Nick Foles is much better now than when he was coming out of Arizona. But kind of with this kid, and he's an older guy. He's going to be 25 his rookie year. He started at Boise State, got hurt. Mark Rippon, who also in this draft class, last 4 years starting at Boise State, took his job. The offensive coordinator at Boise went to NC State to be the offensive coordinator, so Ryan Finley followed him. Mm-hmm. And Ryan Finley started the last 3 years for NC State and had a really good career, throwing to Kelvin Harmon and Jacoby Myers, another NC State wide receiver who is here. I think Ryan Finley, at the worst, can be a solid backup in this league. And a guy that you might be able to rely on to step in and start games if you need him to. But, again, we're talking about him as maybe a third-rounder.
Yeah.
I'm going off the top of my head, but this feels like the least amount of fanfare that a quarterback class has had probably in the time we've been doing the draft show.
Yeah.
You think back to 2014 with Bortles and Teddy Bridgewater. 2016 is obviously dominated by Goff and Wentz and Paxton Lynch.
2 years ago, the names were there. Mahomes, Watson.
Yeah.
But, we weren't sold, or no one was sold on them as being top 10 guys.
Not at all.
And heck, the only one that went top, I guess Mahomes went 10. But Trubisky went, second. Watson went 12. So, that was a weird, Kaiser was being talked about in the first round.
It is. It's crazy to think now, but everybody was pretty shocked when the Chiefs did what they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So.
And it's funny because, I wish – one of the reasons I love the draft is the domino effect.
Right.
If this doesn't happen, then, how the rest of the world would be different.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs don't make that deal, if John Dorsey and Andy Reid don't get a deal done, Pat Mahomes would be a saint.
Yeah.
He was going at 11 to the New Orleans Saints. And how does that work? Is Pat Mahomes still on the bench right now behind Drew Brees? How would that dynamic, or
just broke my brain.
After one season of the New Orleans scout team,
Sean Payton makes a decision.
Sean Payton would have been like, this guy's good. Yeah. We got to get him on the field.
It's like Lamar Jackson.
Drew, you've been great, but we're going to.
All of a sudden, Drew Brees signs a deal, and that's
what I'm saying.
Washington, like Alex Smith did, because of Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, one pick like that, and the world is different.
Yeah,
in terms of the NFL and how that changes the dichotomy of everything.
Which I guess, and that kind of goes back to the point I was going to make is even as unsexy as this class sounds, the quarterbacks dictate the whole draft and always will. It's early, but history teaches me that teams are going to bend over backwards to talk themselves into these guys, and that can work out sometimes in the case of Pat Mahomes, and other times not so much.
Quarterback desperation will not take a year off.
Never go away.
Yeah, it never does.
But
it's going to be here.
I think that's important because it's going to mold the draft class and how it affects the Cowboys, not to mention everyone else. But
of your top 10, how many offensive players do you have?
Not many.
Is your defense? Is this a very heavy defensive draft? Do you feel like?
I have Jonah Williams at 7.
That's the only.
That's it.
Isn't that amazing to think about that?
That's everything I've heard is that this is a defense.
All these teams are thinking offense, and it might be what's the great thing to neutralize great offense?
Great defense.
Or great defense.
I've got Cody Ford at 11, but this is going to be a strong. My first quarterback's at 16, Haskins.
Yeah.
I've got questions about Haskins. I don't think he's that surefire top pick that people want to make him to be just because he's the top quarterback in this draft, but. Yeah, no, you're right. If we don't see a running back or a receiver go in the top 20, maybe one of those Iowa tight ends get in there.
Yeah.
Offensive line always get overdrafted, so we'll see offensive linemen go there. But, yeah, it's going to be dominated by defensive players, especially defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Maybe push some offensive players down the board.
There you go.
Why not? Why not? Okay, well, that's all the time we have today. Again, we're going to be on in the morning. We'll come up with a time for you. We're going to do this before practice. Again, we got travel days with everybody involved here, and so we want to make sure we get you one final show. We'll be hitting it before the South practice, right? Is that going to be? Is that how it rotate back one?
Yes.
So anyway, we'll make sure to check out everything on the draft show, our Twitter feeds, all that, to make sure that we'll get you the time when that will be. So for my buddies David Hellman, Dane Brugler, Kent Garrison, executive producer, I'm Brian Bros. Thanks again for joining us on the draft show. We will see you tomorrow morning from Mobile, Alabama, getting you ready for Thursday practice in the Senior Bowl. Take care.